Well, hey, and welcome to diversehawkesbury.net again. I've just come from the most enjoyable interview. It was with someone that I know a lot of you will already know and love. He's known affectionately as Dr. Ravi among his patients and the families that he speaks to every day in his job. He says he's semi-retired, but you know, the whole time I was interviewing him, his phone was buzzing. You know, so you can see he's nowhere near semi-retirement hours. He just loves his work that much. He's been in Australia since 1973. He was born in central India, and he has a unique perspective that I think can only come from someone like him that's been able to bridge the gap between those two cultures, offer culturally appropriate care to people of the same or similar background. I learned so much in this interview and I so enjoyed it. I hope you do too.
My name is Ravindra Sahasrabudhe and I come from India, and I'm a general practitioner since 1974. But for last almost 15 years, I would say, I'm predominantly seeing patients in aged care facilities. After I sold the practice, I was seeing some patients at their homes as well, because they were my patients and I could not leave them. So I kept on going till they sort of passed away. So now I don't have any more left at home, so they're all in a nursing home now.
Rightio. So where exactly were you born?
Born in a place called Nagpur, Nagpur, in India, in central India. That's where I was born. And it was always my ambition, multiculturalism, and going to different countries and knowing about their cultures and customs and foods and get to know people from different backgrounds has always been my aim. I remember when I was a medical student, I think there was some occasion people had to speak extempore about something, and I spoke about this particular aspect, because India itself is very multicultural, because we got 40 odd languages, you know, we got 20 odd states, and so it's very diverse in itself. So we wanted integration in India itself. Like, I'm as much a foreigner if I go to South India in terms of language. We are all Indians, but he wouldn't understand my mother tongue, and I wouldn't understand his mother tongue. So English would be the common language that generally people all speak. And Hindi, which is a national language to some extent. But again, not in all the states. Some people still refuse, or they don't want to learn Hindi. They'll speak in English.
What kind of situation were you born into? Like, what kind of family did you have?
Very simple, humble background. My father was a very committed, fantastic teacher. And he chose that profession by choice, because although he had done law, he wanted to be a teacher because education he thought was the most important thing for community. And because of that, he was extremely busy and popular. So I got one brother and two sisters. So simple upbringing. We were all happy. We had, we owned our house, I think, in about 1952 onwards. So my father, close to retirement, had enough funds by then to sort of build our own house. Because it was not like here you can borrow money and you know, have it straight away. Now it's happening, but in those days there was no such thing. You won't get housing loan or anything. You have to just, most of the people in that era, by retirement they may have sufficient funds to buy or build a house. That was common.
Wow. So tell us a little about your birthplace. What makes it unique from communities around it?
Nagpur is a truly cosmopolitan city. I mean, if you go into the statistics of India, you'll find Nagpur is one of the most cosmopolitan cities in India. It's about 117th largest city in the world, something like that. I saw the statistics a couple of years ago, so it might have changed a little bit. But it's a fairly largish city, and obviously biased opinion, it's a beautiful city. Still a lot of greenery. It's surrounded by lots of forest and tiger reserves and sanctuaries and things like that. So it's not highly industrial place.
Right.
Nagpur is surrounded by a lot of agricultural activity. So there's mainly citrus and cotton and things
Sounds
like
beautiful. Do you see a lot of Western tourists? Like,
that. Not in Nagpur because it's not a particularly touristic place. We
Yeah.
don't have Taj Mahal or we don't have
Yeah.
the big forts and palaces that you see in Rajasthan, for example.
right.
So it's sort of not particularly tourist attraction now.
Okay. How old were you when you came to Australia? Had you been educated in India first? or-
Yeah, educated fully in India. My MBBS, DCH, which is Diploma in Child Health, followed by my Doctor of Medicine in Child Health as well,
Right.
which I did finished in '73, and lo and behold, just as I was finished, I got a letter from Immigration Department that you have been given permanent residency, and I thought, wow, because
Permanent residency straight away.
yes,
Because of your-
with registration as well.
Right. Oh,
See,
I
because
see.
soon after that, they stopped that. You could not get registration. You had to come here, appear for exam, do some practical training and all that. Whereas I
Right.
was, I think, one of the last batch to come
Okay.
with full registration before coming here.
Gosh, lucky us then.
Yes, yes.
So, so you were still in your schooling and you had a vision for Australia already.
Not necessarily vision for Australia, but I had a vision to go abroad.
Yeah.
While I was doing MD, which is quite a story, I was doing a thesis as a part of MD on dermatoglyphics, which is study of these finger ridges.
Right.
It's genetics,
Yeah.
and I had a feeling when I was a medical student that why couldn't we figure out who is going to develop cancer? Maybe this is a very non-invasive process of identifying if cancer gene manifests in some form in your fingerprints, why not we study that? So that was one of the things. It was the original work that I did in dermatoglyphics, but I studied a disease called vitiligo. You know how people have those white spots?
Yeah.
Have you seen anybody with white spots?
Yeah.
They get very, totally non-pigmented.
Yeah.
What is called albinism. If the person is fully white, not like a white in European white, but no pigment at all.
Yeah.
So I did a study of partial vitiligo
Okay.
to see whether I can see any common pattern different to the normal people. And that was just the initial study.
Yeah.
Anyhow, this professor in America, I wrote to him because he was considered the guru of dermatoglyphics.
Right.
And he offered me a scholarship straight away. I don't know. It was just a simple letter I wrote. I said, look, I'm studying this and I'm very interested in work that you're doing. I'm doing this. And my professor said, how did you manage that? He said, I studied in States. I've been trying to do something for my brother.
Yeah.
I can't get him to go to US for any studies. And here you write an aerogram, which is like a normal letter,
Yeah.
and he offers you scholarship. So,
The power of the written word. Maybe you just have a great
I don't know.
turn of phrase. Yeah.
Anyway, my professor said, look, don't be silly. Your MD is coming up in 6 months' time. If you leave, you'll lose the opportunity to finish this degree.
Right.
He said, you always get another opportunity to go to US, so don't bother, finish your MD. But the professor wrote back saying, no, if you want the scholarship, you have to come within 3 months. Because it was offered by Veterans Affairs Department
Yeah.
in America, in Minnesota.
Yep.
So I wrote back, I said, look, sorry, I can't leave because I'm finishing my MD.
Gosh.
So during this time, one day we were having a beer with some friends, and this guy said from Delhi, he said, my friend has gone to Australia. I said, okay, give me the address. And he gave me the address for Delhi High Commission of Australia, and you're busy studying, appearing for MD. I wrote a letter, and they sent me some form. Oh yes, we do need doctors. Please fill the form. And was not even paying much attention. I just filled the form, sent it back, sent it, 2-3 forms came.
Yeah.
And as I said, lo and behold, I get this letter that yes, you've been given immigration. So that's how it happened. So instead of America, I ended up in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parallels in my family.
But the thing is, you are young, you're confident, and our medical knowledge, I think, was the teachers we had were fantastic.
Yeah.
So I had no fear of going anywhere in the world. I knew that I can stand up anywhere, and I was sure of that. So I came here. On the 3rd day, I got a job at Nepean Hospital, and that's how it all started.
What year is that?
73.
73. Okay. Oh, there you go.
But there's so much trust and honesty here. I went all with my briefcase with my documents and everything. He never checked my documents at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He simply had chat with me and he said, look, we are overqualified for the job, but you're welcome to have the job. And we got some subsidized accommodation as well in the hospital.
Yeah.
So that's how it all started.
Is it still the same now, do you think?
I don't think so. Now, as you know, for everybody, police clearance, all the documents, I'm sure that's how it is now. Even if you applied as a nurse or even a cleaner, I think you need all that, which is good. I mean, I think, you know, in those days were different.
Yeah. Why are you a doctor?
Why? I was influenced by my cousin, older cousin. I mean, she was much, much older than us, but we looked up to her. Yeah. And my own older sister, she became a doctor, and I thought it's a wonderful thing to do, to help people. Yeah. Yeah. And because I used to hear about her stories in rural India, she would go in a jeep, maybe, 30, 40, 50 miles to deliver a baby, and not charge a cent, because they couldn't afford anything. Yeah. But she did that. On the other hand, she might visit some rich landlord who would take out a gold necklace and give it to her in token of doing the delivery. Right. So she said, look, all evens out. Don't worry about the money. Just do your work.
Health seems to be a great leveler, doesn't it?
And my father believed the same thing, that don't chase money, just do the good, honest work, and whatever you decide to do. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What does cultural diversity bring to the dynamic between doctor and patient? Like, how do you think the community benefits from practitioners who come from diverse cultural backgrounds?
Well, obviously it's more beneficial to people from, say, Indian subcontinent background, because at that time we used to get quite a few students in UWS, and it was easy for them to communicate in Hindi or Marathi or whatever. So particularly for migrants, I think it was good. Even from people from, we used to get some Iranian students here, for example. So they felt sort of more comfortable dealing with somebody from India than going to an Aussie doctor. Because I think they find more difficult to understand, whereas we can understand their accents more easier than the local doctors.
Yeah. How has that brought satisfaction for you personally, if you've been able to bridge that gap a little culturally?
Very satisfying. Yeah. Definitely, because people felt comfortable dealing with me, for example, because I could understand. Because medicine, as I like to call it, is either a scientific art or artistic science. It is not pure science. I think it's got to be more than just knowing the textbook. That is how medicine is, or should be. It's not done much now, because they rely more on now scans and blood tests and ultrasound, because that's where not the answer is. The answer is talking to the patient, knowing that. I used to say wherever I got a chance to speak to people about how you practice medicine, I said, I believe I knew not only patient, I knew their family, I knew their dog, I knew their car, I knew what they did, because they all have a direct connection with patient's health, which I think is very critical. So if I get a chance to speak to medical students, sometimes they visit nursing homes, I tell them the importance of knowing the patient, knowing the family dynamics, it's got tremendous bearing. I don't know how much you can appreciate what I'm saying, but
I'm a psychology undergrad, so
so it's very important for you as well.
Yes.
And it has a direct bearing. I mean, for example, the home visit has such a tremendous value, which today's doctors don't do. I mean, to give you one example, this fellow used to come quite often with his asthma. And one day he rang, he said, "Doctor, I'm very sick, can you do home?" I said, "Yeah, I'll come afterward." So I went and he was in his bedroom. So when I entered the house, I thought, it's all filthy stuff lying around. So that's not good with asthmatic dust and stuff like that. So I opened his fridge, had a look, what sort of things he's eating. I mean, I believe it's such a fascinating field, medicine. So I would have never known all these things. If he comes to surgery all well dressed and this and that, you wouldn't know all that.
Yes.
You know, I mean, maybe his family pet, the stuff lying around, junk food in the fridge, tells you he was obese. Now I knew straight away why he's obese. He's living on pizzas and Coke and stuff like that. And the dust. Asthma would never get better.
Yeah.
So this is the value of home visit. Home visit is absolutely fantastic value for doctors. Unfortunately, they don't do anymore.
Yeah. So around here, that's pretty hard to find now.
Even here, they don't do it now.
Okay.
In the city stopped many years ago, but here also now, this generation of doctors, if you're sick, go to hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do. At that time, for us, there was no lunch break. Lunchtime was the home visit.
Yeah.
But we loved it. I mean, sometimes I would go up to East Karajong Heights to do a home visit.
Yeah.
On Medicare.
Yeah.
They couldn't afford.
Yeah.
For example, there were people there with lots of land, so they were asset rich but cash poor.
Yeah.
But I never bothered about that, really.
And probably gave you an insight into who your patients were demographically.
Absolutely.
A lot faster than someone working out of a clinic.
Also, again, the same thing that I was mentioning about, you get to know in what condition they're living, what is the situation, is there a family member with them, what is their connection with each other, things like that.
So you work a lot in aged care, and I'm just wondering, just going back to the whole cultural differences stuff again, would you say that having that first-hand experience and being able to deliver culturally appropriate end-of-life care has measurable real health outcomes?
I would say so, yes. I think because you know people from different backgrounds, how to deal with end-of-life situation. For example, Australia, it's quite common to be quite blunt and frank about it. Whereas, for example, in Indian subcontinental background, you don't tell them, look, you got cancer, you got 3 months to live. You don't do it that way. I think it's got to be done a bit differently, in a subtle way, and taking more time, speaking to the family, and this sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you have to deal in a different way, different backgrounds. Yeah.
So you could have just done your job and nothing more, and just gone home every day. But you've done things like the Hawkesbury Heart Start campaign and Friends of Nagpur. And that's passion stuff, like what drives that? Why do you do that?
Because I love doing it. For example, Heart Start. I mean, I saw the technologies here. Why haven't we got it here? So I decided to have a sort of an appeal to the public that I would like to talk about this, what these defibrillators are and so on. So I invited the mayor and the local member and so on, and we had about 50 odd people that day at their Richmond club, and now we spoke about it, and you wouldn't believe, next day somebody went and deposited $20,000 in the bank, and the person wanted to remain anonymous. So I was a Rotarian at that time in Windsor, and they said, "Oh, Doc must be one of your patients." And I said, "Look, I wouldn't have a clue." Yeah. But obviously we found out not who, but she. It was a she.
Okay.
That she said, no, I don't want my name to be published.
Right.
But it's a good program, and I would like to see this defibrillators being installed in Hawkesbury. So that's how it started.
So describe what actually did it lead to? Like how many?
Well, we got currently about 40 in the area.
How many?
About 40.
Wow.
Most of the doctors' surgeries have it. Then I appealed to the Lions Club, so they came forward and gave a donation, which is at the information center.
Okay.
So the defibrillator there is given by them.
Yeah.
There's one in the tennis club at Richmond. We donated there. Most of the bowling clubs, they have it. Londonderry Race Club has got it. Hawkesbury Showground, they have got it.
Yeah.
So we appeal to people, those who can afford, can you buy it outright? So we don't try to subsidize it. But for example, the Golo Soccer Club or the Karajong Soccer Club, where they don't have money, I said, can you come up with say $1,000 and we'll put the rest.
Yeah.
So our model has been try and get them to raise some money, we'll put in the balance.
Yeah.
So
is it ongoing? It's still
ongoing,
yeah.
yes. Yeah. We had currently 3 enquiries at the moment.
Wonderful.
So we're waiting to hear from them.
Where can people go if they want to find out more about that?
Well, it's on the Facebook.
Okay.
And every time we install, Gazette has been very kind to us, and they always have put an article in and inviting people to come on board, and if they feel that they should have one, please approach me or some of our members. We are having a battle with the churches because some of the parishioners want it in the church, but most of the churches, the priests say no, our head office say no. Because of this silly argument of saying it's a liability issue, and in fact it would be a reverse liability issue in my opinion one day, because people will demand, my uncle died there, if he had the defibrillator he could have been resuscitated. So we have gone to that extent to try and explain, look, under section 57 you cannot be sued because that person is dead technically. So what can you do to dead person? You can't do any damage. You can only make him perhaps give a chance, 50% chance of survival. Look, yesterday I had a long chat with the psychiatrist because when I met him, he said, Doctor, look, I'm not necessarily after money, but I would like to provide this service. I said, look, I'll be so delighted because I've been looking for a psychiatrist for a long, long time. I run the specialist center in Richmond.
Which?
Macquarie Town Specialist Center, next to that fire station. So that's another of my, I suppose, achievement, and I feel proud about that. Hawkesbury didn't even have, back in 1990, even a cardiology, neurology. I have brought them. I've gone around seeing them and said, look, please, instead of 10 people coming to you, to Parramatta or Westmead, isn't it easier for one person to come? It makes sense in every way. Environmentally, carer's point of view, patient's point of view, and that's how it started. It took me 3 years to build that place because of council rules and regulations and things. So frustrating time, but I was pleased at the end of it. It all came together.
What's the feedback you've had from the community on that?
Oh, amazing. Quite amazing. Amazing. That's how I was, one of my proudest moments was I was away in India, and I think Gazette ran sort of saying, can you nominate 100 people for the last 100 years who have made a difference to the community? When I came back, there were a lot of congratulations and all that. So I was one of the 100 people for the century. So I was nominated one of those. So that was a great moment, I thought, for me.
So tell me about these things here.
This is an organization called, as you can see, Sarathi, Nagpur. So every year they honor 8 or 10 people from different fields. And when they heard about PhoneAg and activities I've been doing, they thought, I should be one of the deserving candidates to honor on the stage.
It's wonderful.
And because it was my hometown, I felt so humbled and proud to be given that award there.
Yeah, because it's a long time you've been here now, but it must be providing that connection to culture just for you personally too.
Oh, because I still go every year for my Rotary projects over there, so I still have a lot of contacts in my hometown.
Yeah. And
that was a surprise when I got that, and again I wasn't here, so Chris Payne went and received on my behalf.
So that's something someone's nominated you for, and
yes. When you don't know anything about it till you suddenly get it in the mail, and when it arrived, it said the day of ceremony will be whatever, and I was overseas. So I rang Chris Payne, who I'm known for a long time.
Yeah.
I was a counsellor here, as you probably know.
Oh, I didn't.
95 to 99.
Oh, you were okay.
Yeah.
I was a teen at the time.
I was in the council.
Oh, there you go.
So I wanted to build a health resort in Hawkesbury. My idea being, obviously, it's a labor-intensive industry. It will create employment. It will bring in foreign exchange because, as you know, a lot of wealthy people in Southeast Asia. And Australia and New Zealand are seen as countries which are still beautiful environment, pure quality of food and water and everything. And I was, because of medical background, I thought when they come, the wealthy people from Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, whatever, they could come here and I could have packages for them. So a 2-week package or 3-week package which will involve a complete checkup, have their bloods tested, their heart tested, all that. There'll be a mini golf course, there'll be squash court, a pool, so full health resort.
Yeah.
The idea was there because I wanted to do the same thing in India.
Okay.
Because again, India is a country with a lot of wealthy people.
Yeah.
A lot of wealthy people. Unfortunately, it made headlines in the local, such as Sydney Morning Herald's equivalent paper in India, Bombay.
Okay.
And I had 2 more doctors from here. They were excited, and people in India were excited. Came headlines and everything. And the land we had selected was a beautiful piece of land. It was surrounded by hills and would have been just an amazing place to do it.
Yeah.
But as it turned out, one of my friends who is at that time was a naval commander, I was talking to him and he said, you know what, you are right next to one defense establishment called INS Shivaji, and under Defense of India rules, they could just take over any time, whether with compensation or not. So he said, no, that's not a good idea. But for me, the timing was critical because my daughter would have been starting just before high school, so that I didn't want to disrupt their schooling time.
Yeah.
So when that sort of fell through, I thought, okay, I can do that here. So that was one of my aims. And I had done, prior to standing for the election, I had done a number of little things in the area over the years. So I had a confidence in myself that people by now, they know me. And I didn't really did much campaigning at all. I was busy. I mean, you know what general practice
kind of is like an intimate look at you as an individual too, isn't it? And as a professional.
So they knew what I was made of, and that I would probably do the right thing by the community there. And I had no time for campaigning, and I thought I had done my homework for 7-8 years prior to standing for election.
Yeah.
So I just put the papers in and stood for the council, and I still remember, as you know, the counting stops at midnight. And I was so tired Saturday after voting. I remember I was going around all over Hawkesbury, see how it's going, and I was in bed by 8 o'clock, absolutely fatigued, totally exhausted. Next morning, 9 o'clock I'll go to the surgery because counting had stopped at midnight.
Yeah.
Next morning my friend rings up, how did it go? I said, I have no idea. I have no idea. He rings up again about midday. Any news on your election? I said, no, I have no idea. Because surgery is full, you're busy. I thought,
Yeah.
when the counting finishes, I will find out. So 4 o'clock I get a call from the mayor saying, congratulations, we have got drinks at 6 o'clock, so please come and we'll introduce to you to others. So that was huge. It was huge. I was just, it was quite a buzz.
Yeah.
And because prior to coming to Australia, I was in a place called Benares in the northern India.
Right.
So I'm not sure how exactly it happened. And some of my friends from Benares, like I came to Australia, they went to Middle East or UK and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So through some friends network, they found out that I got elected. So it came in Abu Dhabi Times. Some of my friends must have put it in the local paper. Oh, my friend got elected in Australia.
Yeah.
And I was the first Indian to be elected as a councillor here.
Yeah.
In Australia. So it was quite amazing. And of course it made headlines in my Nagpur paper, of course. So 1 year, I think following year, maybe 96 I think it was, when I was there. And he didn't tell me that. A friend of mine said, oh, the mayor wants to see you. And he's sending the car to pick you up at 4 o'clock. I said, okay, fine. I had no idea. So when I was entering the council, there were hundreds of people outside the council. Mm-hmm. So I thought there must be some union strike. That's what all the crowd is about. So when I went in, then I found out it was to felicitate me that the mayor had organized.
So this is your life kind of thing.
Yeah. And so because I left India soon after graduation.
Yeah.
I'm not used to like the politicians there. It's a very common practice that the mayor, he came, congratulated, put a garland on your neck, then the deputy mayor comes, he puts a garland on the neck, the opposition leader comes, he puts a garland. And I was of course, I'm not used to all this, Never happened before in my life. Because here it's not a common thing that, when you get felicitation, they put garlands over garlands over garlands.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they were all the corporators there. We sat down, had a chat, and how is it there, and so on and so forth. That was quite a bit. So I thought, well, in return, let's see what I can do for Australia. So the following year I went, and because India needed some sort of technological help in terms of infrastructure, roads, bridges, and so on, and we got some companies here who could do that.
Yeah.
So I went and saw the minister in my state,
right.
And I said, look, have you got any projects that you want foreigners to come as investors or build it and so on? So I tried to connect that link between the two.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't work out. The companies here could not come to the party or whatever. But that was one thing I tried, and then the second thing was this health resort I was talking about. I had this idea. I had looked at a number of places, and there was really some nice places here we got. I don't know whether you've been to Kolo Valley and Karajong Heights, that area. Beautiful area.
Yeah.
So I had a fellow from Queensland who was prepared to put $200 million in this in 95, 96. Okay.
Right.
And I was flabbergasted that when he came to the council chambers, none of the bureaucrats wanted to give any help.
Okay.
All they talked about was negatives.
Okay.
Oh, are you aware that this is a high fire risk? Are you aware the water could be a problem? Are you aware the local people will be up in arms? They will be talking about traffic. Typical NIMBY syndrome, not in my backyard.
Yeah.
So it was very disappointing that I thought council should be proactive and trying to progress the region, create employment. Where is the employment here, you tell me? Yeah. RAF was sort of shutting down, the less and less quadrants at RAF base. I think the Ag College was, between the RAF base and Ag College were the biggest employers in the area. And whole idea should be to create jobs, economic growth, and betterment for the whole area. For example, the doctors would have had work, the pathologists would have had the work, when so many people employed.
Yep.
They can't see all that.
Do you believe that the Hawkesbury's tourism is still largely untapped?
Because we're in a difficult spot here. We are so close to Sydney that nobody is going to, they will be passing through. Maybe see some areas and keep going.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be too many stays here.
Yeah.
Whereas this would have done that. People would have come for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because it's a beautiful area. Such big land available here. Would have been good, but it was not to be. So I decided not to stand for election again. I thought, no, I'm so busy, I would rather do than other things.
It sounds like over your history, you've had a bit of a knack for straddling the line between humanitarian projects, business projects,
Absolutely.
local government, and kind of, what's the key to kind of bringing those things together to achieve a social aim? You know?
Because I look at it, every project that I've done has been a win-win project. For example, the medical center that I started back in 1990, it was at a huge risk. Interest rates were 18%. It was just my idea. Would it take off? Would it not take off? Would I get the support from the people? How will it go? But you go by your gut feeling. That because I've been in those days, some people used to go to Macquarie Street in Sydney. Westmead came much later, where the specialists were, large number of specialists were there. But still, Hawkesbury didn't have.
Yeah.
We didn't have cardiology, we didn't have neurology, we had all this was non-existent. So for EEG they had to go to Westmead or go to St. Vincent's and things like that. So I looked at, okay, obviously as an investor you had to look at from business point of view as well. At the same time, that was not the main objective, is to make money, was to be acknowledged as a pioneer, something that was non-existent.
Yep.
That's how I always looked at everything, that I will be seen as someone who has pioneered something, being the first. My dermatographics was the first, the pioneering effort in that particular field.
Yeah.
They're bringing a medical center close to your home for the community. That was, I mean, a lot of people have made comments to me. They said, Ravi, and that was amazing. What you've done is really great. Congratulations, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then with the aging population, my previous medical center was at East Market Street with a ramp.
Yeah.
You know that building?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So, because I know them for a long time, they sent, they made a kind of a petition, if you like, they used to sign there. In fact, I said to the secretary, can you just ask people, are they finding it harder? So I had like 500 signatures.
Yeah.
So I decided, okay, it's time, and maybe the last project I will do. Luckily, I had an old cottage there in March Street.
Right.
So I asked the architect, I said, can you just measure up and see whether we can do something similar all on street level, so that it's easier for people who are handicapped, in wheelchair, or so that's my last project. So coming back to your topic, how you combine everything together, the helping the community part of it, benefit to the investor as well, which that is an important thing, otherwise things won't work out right.
Yeah.
Beneficial to the doctors, because some of them were new. For example, the 2 neurologists we got, both of them brilliant neurologists, young people.
Right.
They're so happy and grateful that we got something like this in the area, and they're happy to provide the service. The psychiatrist, I had a long chat. He said, look, honestly, I'm not making money, but I will not stop. I will still, because this area is not a well-off area. You know, I mean, for example, he was telling me, I said, what is the normal consultation? He said, oh, like some people charge $350. He said, how can I ask for $350 and the wages are $600 and they're paying so much in rent and other bills? And he said, I can't do it.
Yeah.
At the same time, he said, if I bulk bill everyone, financially, I'm out of pocket.
Yeah.
So I said, look, it's entirely your call. You tell me what I can do for you from my side. I can do as much as I can.
Yeah.
So I always looked at that way. It's got to be a win-win situation for
Yeah.
everything. Yeah. So people have been very, very kind to me and always been helpful. I mean, for example, some of the dinners I have, last 8 years, I found the chemist from Penrith who supplies medications to the Hawkesbury Village Nursing Home.
Yeah.
So I was joking one day with him. I said, Theo, you girls have been making a lot of mistakes. It's costing me a lot of time writing all those scripts again and again. I said, I charge $150 an hour. So there's 2 hours of work, that's $300. I don't want the money, just give it to the charity. No problem. He sent me a check for $500. And then we got talking and I said, well, we do these dinners every year. He said, I will do that. Are you sure? Yeah. I said, how many can you accommodate at your home? 80? Really? Yeah. He said, my family loves cooking. Is Cypriot.
All right.
And last 8 years he's been hosting dinners.
I bet that food is good.
And the food is, you should come next time. It's always, we call it Christmas in July, Greek style.
Yeah.
So we have got what, generally 50 people.
Yeah.
And then what I do is, wherever I go overseas, I collect few things for sale.
Yeah.
And then I sell it there.
Yeah.
We have a art sale, some of the goods from overseas.
Yeah.
And we have a raffle and auction and a trivia, bits of everything.
Yeah.
So last year I think we said, if you can wear your national costume, that would be nice. So I dressed up in my Indian costume, and
Yeah.
so that was fun.
Yeah.
So that's now the major source of funding for the FONAG.
Yeah.
That's going on.
Yeah.
So again, it goes back to the same thing. So people like something different.
Yeah.
Greek food, for example,
Yeah.
it's a novelty. They still keep asking, when is going to be Indian food?
Yeah.
So I had it once or twice, but in a restaurant now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I tell the restaurant, again, it goes same formula, win-win. I said, look, you are new here, right?
Yeah.
You want publicity.
Yeah.
Okay. I will bring 50 people. You charge me just your cost. All the profit will go to the charity.
Yeah.
Where you benefit is advertising, which you cannot buy.
Yes.
If you put an ad in Gazette or Independent, it will cost you, let's say, whatever, $500 or whatever.
Yeah.
And there is no guarantee people will read and come. Here they have come, tasted your food. It's a word of mouth. So there, he's happy to do it.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime.
And it's so funny. There's it's essentially a humanitarian kind of effort, but there's all these other benefits to it as well. You're creating community,
Yeah.
celebration of diversity. What else? What else is there? You tell me.
Well, I think people realize giving is receiving, and that to me is very important thing.
Yeah.
And always whenever I'm talking to them, I say, look, and yeah, for example, there are a lot of nurses who don't have a high wage or anything, but Helen will say, look, here's $50 for the dinner, I can't come.
Yeah.
But it's a good cause.
Yeah.
See, I mean, we have hardly ever had any receipts or anything.
Yeah.
But they know that I send a report when the dinner is finished, we collected 3,000, it's in the bank.
Yeah.
And when I send money overseas, when I come back, I just send a report to them and put it on the Facebook. I went to that school where, excuse me, we just finished building a girls' hostel. Because these girls and boys come from very remote areas around my hometown, and they're like our Aborigines here.
Right.
So there's absolutely nothing there.
Yeah.
So we just finished building a girls' hostel. So now the next project is building a hostel for the boys.
Yeah.
So I just been there in last month. I was there.
So you've been working at this for a number of years, which means you might have seen through, people that you have lifted out of disadvantage in childhood. You may be learning about where they've moved on to.
Yeah, some of them have gone to uni. Yeah, and some, for example, some of them who are, for example, they're not that bright, the Rotary has a project by which the wives of the Rotarians teach them how to do basic cooking, for example,
Upskilling, yeah.
like jams and conserves, and like here there's equivalent to that. We have papadums and pickles and
Yep.
various things that they can cook and sell and
Yep.
make a living out of it.
Yeah.
So the Rotarians and their wife, they're doing a number of things, education, teaching them some trade. We also finished building 50 toilets 2 years ago in one of the villages. So each house has got a toilet now.
Yeah.
So that these 2 lady volunteers, they came to thank me personally. I said, look, you didn't have to come and thank me personally.
Is it a human right to have clean water?
It is. It is. This new Prime Minister is not that new anymore, but he is man of vision, and he has done a lot which the previous governments haven't done in 70 years. I mean, I just saw that with my own eyes in some of the villages. I can see the broadband going there. I mean, almost everybody has got mobile phones.
Yeah.
What he also did was to stop the corruption. For example, when the farmers are given subsidy, it used to go through number of bureaucrats.
Yeah.
And because they're dealing with illiterate people, he will pocket half the money in his and say, look, this is what you're getting.
Yeah.
So he has cut that out.
Yeah.
He opened account for everyone. Millions of accounts were opened. Excuse me. And the money goes now directly from central government into their account.
Huh.
He's cut out all this middlemen.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
Brilliant. So work he's done is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what of the future for you and the project and your practice?
My practice, I mean, I will continue because I enjoy the interaction between some of the patients, because some of them are beyond that, but it's the families.
Yeah.
For example, it happens almost every day. Yesterday I had a chat with this patient's daughter and I said, look, your mother has expressed the wish that she wishes she closes the eyes and not wake up again. So I said we have to respect her wishes. I've stopped all the medications now, which she doesn't want to take anymore. So what is the point?
Yeah.
She's got no really quality. Mentally still quite alert, but very frail, aged. And I said, what is the point? So in fact, I asked her, I'll go tomorrow morning, which I did today. And we started on small dose of morphine just to keep her comfortable.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of friends were there. So they were happy that we've done that. And one of them said to her, you want some beer? I said, I can give you intravenous beer, don't worry. So this is satisfying, you know?
Yeah.
End of life situation. If you explain in the right way, most of the families are very grateful that their mother or father is pain-free. They're just dying. Just the nature takes its course.
Yeah.
And
How important is it for your patient to have control over their end-of-life care process?
Well, some of them, when they are have the mental capacity, have written in the will, end of life care how they want it. If they haven't, then one of the children, they've got enduring power of guardianship. So then they take the decision on behalf of the parents if they lost that capacity. And they say, look, my father always said that no CPR, no life support, no active intervention, etc. So we go along with that and just document that, and we tell all the nurses and just whatever we can do to keep them comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, any patient going to nursing home basically is palliation only, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they are beyond active treatment.
Yeah. Okay.
They have either cancer or advanced COPD or heart disease, diabetes, combination of all that. So what else is there for them apart from just kind words and comfort?
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
And what are the future projects for Friends of Nagpur?
Well, I started one just before I went overseas, and there was a huge response, the biggest response that these nurses said to me, those who work with dementia. I don't know whether you saw that news item. There was a huge article in the paper, a huge response in the Richmond Golf Club. And
I must have had my head in the box.
Narelle Bossard.
Okay.
She is passionate about dementia.
Yeah.
And she said to me, Ravi, you are a hero. And I said, look, this is just the one public forum. We need to see some action. So this is at times a bit frustrating and disappointing that a lot of people came, they congratulated me, this, that. But when it actually coming forward to give us a hand, that's where I feel disappointing.
Yeah.
That there are a lot of semi-retired or retired people who are still well enough, like for example me. They're not prepared to come forward. And for example, I had an email from Monica Fleming. She was one of the attendees at that forum, and she spoke. And she said, I know what I'm going through with my mother. I would like to see something like that happening in Hawkesbury, a dementia support group. And there was a huge enthusiasm, but no follow. I can't get anybody to come forward. I said, look, I can't possibly take on everything. So I requested one of the doctors. I said, can you be the chairman and now have the ball rolling and get it going? So far nothing has happened.
Okay.
But I will not leave it alone. I will have to contact some of them again, have maybe another forum and say, look, form a group. Start in a small way. It will gradually grow. So,
because I mean, we would have to have our head in the sand if we haven't heard dementia statistics. It's affecting someone we know. That's inevitable, right?
Well, by my calculation, we got probably 25 to 30,000 in Hawkesbury, people in dementia.
Yeah.
I know what my friend is going through, and what I did was to make an impact on people. I got 2 or 3 carers to speak, and he was a very powerful speaker.
What is the aim of this group you're wanting to get together?
Well, the dementia support group, it can help the carers mainly, so they give them respite.
Yeah.
They don't get any respite. If they can come together and talk about it, that how common issues and what they do. And for example, as you know, My Age Care is a very difficult website, what I hear from so many of people, difficult to navigate. And Narelle had prepared a handout which disappeared within no time. Everybody took out that handout, where to look for help.
Yeah.
I mean, there is not a lot, but there is some, but people are not aware. There are so many. It's in a fragmented way, this package, that it's fine, confusing. And you ring Centrelink, you don't get anywhere. You know, one patient who was a pensioner, she tells me that it's like a prepaid plan, she loses the whole lot in one phone call.
Yeah. Do you consider yourself an old school doctor?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
What do you think the new school doctors could learn from old school doctors?
Well, they don't want to. They could learn a lot. For example, what I was telling you before.
Yeah.
Medicine is just not science. It's an artistic science.
What about psychology?
Or scientific art.
What do you have to say to psychology students?
Well, psychology is even more to do with the family dynamics and that person and their hobbies and their occupation, and it is so important. One example I always quote to the medical students about history taking, because which is so important. But if you read, you must have seen on TV also, that average time spent in a doctor's surgery is between 2 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. This is way back in 80s, I think it was. This patient's mother rang, a young boy, 18, 19. She said, he's coughing up blood. I said, look, that's a very sick. Send him to hospital, because I used to be admitting officer here. I said, we'll get a chest x-ray done, and I will see him in the evening after the clinic. So I went and saw him at about 7 o'clock. And I said, so tell me, when did you start? Oh, only this morning I started coughing blood. Okay, what do you do? I'm a laborer. No, I don't. What do you mean by laborer? What exactly is it? I work in a sandstone quarry. Okay, but what do you do in the quarry? Well, I grind those stones. Okay, do you wear a mask? I don't. The penny dropped.
Yeah.
It was a silicosis. When I looked at the X-ray, if he had not known the history, you would have sent him straight to cancer center. That this looks like secondaries from somewhere.
Right.
You would have had a whole body scan. If the history was not taken, he would have gone through all that.
Gosh.
But as soon as I connected the history and the chest X-ray, I said, okay, we'll give you a course of antibiotics. From here on, no more of that work, or you have to have full mask on, because the dust has gone in and caused irritation to the lungs, and that's why you're coughing up. 2 weeks, all clear. Now, this is what I tell them, history taking. It's not good enough writing occupation laborer. That doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah.
There was one woman complaining of neck pain and headaches. I said, what do you do? I'm a receptionist. Okay. I want you to describe exactly where you sit, how you sit, where is the phone, and how do you answer, what do you do? So it's like a detective work. She was, you know what the secretaries do. They're on the phone like this, they're writing this and that. I said, look, it's simply a posture situation. Your headaches are not migraines. You don't need a brain scan. You don't have a brain tumor. You got problem with the posture.
Yeah.
So this is the beauty of knowing the history.
Yeah.
And saving money and time and effort to the patient. If she had gone to Westmead, and a registrar would have seen, or a junior doctor, oh, we need a cervical spine X-ray, a CT of your brain and CT of your spine.
Yeah.
Thousands of dollars down the drain.
Yeah.
I used to hear the stories, patient going in with a bit of fever and a sore throat. They will have a throat swab, a blood test, a blood culture, and a sputum culture. If you took the history, 99% are viral URTIs. They don't need all this. You need to spend time, and diagnosis is made by history. My professor, I remember, used to tell us, to confirm the diagnosis, you need a scan. Not a scan to do the diagnosis.
Yeah.
This is the message. If I get a chance, I tell the medical student, look, you'll enjoy medicine far more if you're prepared to spend time with the patient. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Rewarding, and something that you feel like. I can mention 2 instances. One of my patients who come from Fiji, known as my tennis partner and so on. One day he rang me from the airport, Sydney airport. He said, I've just got my mom, she is very, very sick. They can't do anything in the Fiji. I said, bring her over. So he came straight to the surgery. I took it was a classic case of thyrotoxicosis. She was losing weight and, diarrhea, tremors, everything classic.
Yeah.
So I just did 1 blood test, put her on medication. He's grateful ever to me for saving his mother. She would have died, another few weeks she would have died. It's amazing. I mean, you don't see thyrotoxics that often.
Yeah.
In my lifetime, I would have seen probably maybe 3 or 4. Within 2 weeks of that, another Indian friend, he rang. His mother was visiting, I think, him here. And he said, look, she's just losing weight, and the doctors in the medical center can't figure out. They had done everything barring thyroid function test.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that is so bad.
Yeah, that's
So
pretty basic, isn't it? Yeah.
But it comes back to the history.
Yeah.
Not ordering blood tests first and see you later.
Yeah.
So same thing, same medication. Good. So it can go on for hours. But this is the message, that please spend time in history.
Yeah.
And examination, that's gone as well. It's one of my specialist friends, he was telling me, he was admitted to St. Vincent's private hospital. He said, look, I've got no complaints. The surgeon was fantastic. He did a great job. And that's another thing that's lacking today. He said he would come every day with a paraphernalia of all the nurses and whatever, registrars and so on. Nowadays, as you know, everything is computerized. So he would stand never looked at the patient, but he will be looking at all. Oh, pulse, blood pressure, respiration, no fever, headache, no, that's fine. Never seen the patient.
Oh, okay.
He said I said, I've got no complaints about $4,500 bill or whatever. But he said, and him being a specialist,
Yeah.
he never said, Jules, how are you today?
Yeah.
Now, is that too difficult?
No.
It's therapeutic just to hold their hand, check their pulse.
Yeah. The hospital can be so isolating for anybody, and nobody's
So
touched
this is
you
the
or-
medicine today.
Yeah.
This is the medicine today. In a sad state of affairs.
Yeah.
At enormous cost to the national economy, coming to 10% of GDP, we're wasting.
Yeah.
And I think half of it is wastage.
Yeah. Gosh. Half.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk to people when they go to medical, you'll find that they'll ultrasound, and everybody has made it to industry rather than a profession today. I can guarantee you, if you go for an X-ray of your elbow for whatever reason, the radiologist will write at the bottom, CT may be recommended to confirm. So that means one thing leads to another. Then you think, oh my God, he has written that, so I got to do CT, because otherwise all could be defensive medicine to ultimate.
Yeah.
So they will do CT
Yeah.
as well, which will not add anything really more.
And in the meantime, the patient, they're stressed
They're
because
stressed.
the tests are, they only half understand it, and it's a bit scary and it sounds very serious, but it might not be.
I end up doing a lot of free medicine, because, every day it happens.
Yeah.
The other day I was there were 3 nurses hovering around me. Doctor, can we see you for a minute? I just want to show you my CT scan report. I want to show you my blood report. I want to show. One came today. Now, honestly, she said, I've got a very sore shoulder. Can you please look at? I said, Julie, let me finish all this first, then I will talk to you. I mean, do you expect me to just diagnose by looking at you?
Yeah.
Anyway, I asked the history, and I asked her to do certain movements. I said, okay, you got a tear in the supraspinatus, get an ultrasound done, then I'll refer you to an orthopedic surgeon. So a lot of free medicine. I mean, I love it, okay, they feel so much trust in me that
Yeah.
they want to see me, not see their own doctor or whatever.
Yeah.
So that happens all the time.
So I hope you look after yourself a little bit though sometimes, and
Oh, I do, man. I mean, I ended up having a bypass 4 years ago, which was quite a story. I mean,
What kind of a
everybody was-
patient are you? What do
Look,
you...
I mean, honestly, I never ever thought in my life that I would end up having a bypass.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I'm fit, I'm well, I eat well,
Yeah.
play tennis every day of the week, not overweight, non-diabetic, non-hypertensive, never visited a doctor, never took Panadol in my life.
Yeah.
And one day I was playing tennis, and I'm always first to start from this end, and I got this like how you get a sometimes spasm
Yeah.
somewhere. It came and went. Before the ball came down, it was gone. And being a doctor, I thought I should probably not play. What is it? Because I'm very analytical. I want to know what it is. And sometimes that's probably bad part of me think, what will they think if I walk off the court? Think he's a sissy. Just because he got a pen, he walks off the court. And because of that, honestly, I played, but luckily nothing happened.
Yeah.
But I didn't stop there.
Yeah.
I came home, rang John Jagger, the cardiologist. I said, John, I want to check up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ravi, yes, tomorrow, which was a Wednesday. And as it turned out, Richmond had a blackout 4 years ago. That afternoon, there was he rang me. He said, Ravi, sorry, bad news, can't do it today, but tomorrow. It's okay, fine. And I thought, I don't want to stress my wife that,
Yeah.
it may be, hopefully it's nothing, I'll just get it tested anyway.
Yeah.
So he did the stress test and echo, and he's shaking his head.
Oh no.
He said, Ravi, not good. Then I came home, I said, we need to go for angiogram tomorrow. What?
Oh.
I said, oh look, I just had this, and I thought probably nothing, but I wanted it checked. And he said, no, you got multiple blockages. So Friday I went there, and then he said, "You're not going anywhere. I'm going to ring the surgeon. He's overseas, but he's coming tonight, so he will see you tomorrow. Monday operation, Sunday home." I said, "Okay." And I took it absolutely nonchalantly. I thought, okay, well, that's what it is. That's it. I didn't stress myself. Naturally, I had to tell my son and daughter were overseas, both of them. So they all came down, and Monday I had the operation and came home on that Sunday. And I still have to pinch my ears today. Really, I've gone through all that.
So quickly too, gosh.
Yeah, it'll be 5 years this September. Because that Saturday I was giving out how to vote.
You were?
That Saturday I was at Richmond and Francis Street on that booth in the school.
Yeah.
I was handing out the papers. So
Oh, goodness me.
yeah. My friend, one of our music friends, she came over to see me in Norway. I said, "Ravi, you didn't have to go that far to get sympathy."
What kind of effect did that experience have on you once you went back to work? And
And people still sometimes ask me, "Ravi, do you feel any different?" I said, it's difficult for me to say because I used to play tennis before, I'm playing tennis now, so I can't say. People, I think from hearing stories from others, that how fantastic they feel after bypass. Because maybe they were not feeling well, they were feeling tired, they had no energy and all that sort of thing. For them it's a big change.
yeah.
For me, I didn't feel anything different because I'm doing exactly what I was doing before.
Yeah.
And they asked me at Westminster, Norway, they said, "What made you suspicious that you got a coronary artery disease?" I said, that's how my mind works. Why did I have this? This cannot come from respiratory system. This cannot come from my throat. Where can it come from? You got to exclude heart. So you got to. And that's how I practice my medicine. I want to think about it, what it is. First find out what the diagnosis is.
Yeah.
And not simply treat the symptom. I take painkillers and it will go away. No, why did I get it?
Yeah.
So I was lucky.
Without breaching anyone's privacy, have you come across any Hawkesbury health stories that have truly puzzled you?
Puzzled me.
Yeah, and you've been surprised that it's been a difficult, diagnosis to make, and how often do you come across that, and it sort of challenges your knowledge?
Unfortunately, in GP you don't get too many challenging cases. Not too many. Most of them are run-of-the-mill things. Again, frustrating part is people take your advice but don't follow it. So you go over it over again. For example, about obesity.
Yeah.
I must have spoken to hundreds of patients, thousands of times. People who are sort of mechanically minded, I would say to them, "Would you put kerosene in your car?" "Oh no, it will damage the engine." Then why do you put the wrong food in your stomach? It is damaging your engine. So you worry more about your motor car, which can be, you can sell it and buy a new one. You can't fix your liver once you've got hepatitis or cirrhosis of the liver. But even then, it doesn't seem to make any impact. Smoking, the same thing. There was only one patient I remember, he was in his 70s. I spoke to him about this, that every cigarette that you smoke takes away 6 minutes of your life. And he listened to me for half an hour and he said, "What? From tomorrow, I won't touch it." So it was one of those stories. Most of the patients, I tell them they're repeat winners.
Yeah.
That means they give up and they start again. One of them, including, he was also tennis partner, had a bypass, went back to smoking, died of a heart attack.
Oh.
People.
That must be hard for you, I imagine.
Hard, but then at the center, what else can you do? My stress, mainly comes from when people are not prompt in responding. That causes stress to me.
Yeah.
Whereas me, I look at email every day, I'll respond straight away.
Yeah.
So I find that frustrating, that why don't people, when they say email, why don't you respond straight away? That yes, I can or I can't. Think that does cause me stress. I do not like anything pending. I like to get it out of the way as soon as it comes. For example, finally I've trained this chemist to send me list of owing prescriptions once a week. I said, you send it on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I will write them up. You will have it on Monday.
Yeah.
There's one chemist, I still have to ring him every month or two. Hey, you haven't sent the list. Oh, I'll do it now. And then it will not come. And I get annoyed. I thought, if you show your anger on the phone, are you crazy? They'll feel, oh, he's rude, man. I mean, it's his money, his job. I'm pushing him. So these are the things that I find in a way stressful, if you want to call it. I mean, I get annoyed about it. Or, for example, some of the nurses, they will call me, oh, this patient is not well, or family is. I said, you are a registered nurse. You have got the training, you have got the experience. Sit down, do the observations, talk to the family, say, look, I find this is wrong, that is wrong. I will ring the doctor. Doctor will come and see the patient. Or there is nothing wrong, there is nothing to worry about. I said, don't feel pressurized by the family. That's been happening a lot because of Dr. Google. The family will say, I want my mom to have blood tests. Oh, I have all the blood tests. 91 years of age, they want cholesterol done.
Yeah.
For what? I said, you should be able to explain that it is too late now to worry about the cholesterol.
Yeah.
Because the recommendation from Department of I said, this is what you need to know as part of your training.
Yeah.
That after 70, 75, they've got other comorbidities. There's no point in putting anti-cholesterol drugs and checking their cholesterol. It's pointless.
This kind of approach working with RNs must be good for their professional development as well. It's learning to trust their training and their judgment as well.
But I think maybe the training is, I don't know what sort of training they get nowadays. I've seen that I feel only some of the RNs are confident in dealing with the patient, otherwise they immediately ring the doctor. When you come and see this patient. I said, do you realize I can't come every minute? And although lately, because of the same aging population, I'm almost going every day. So initially my idea was, okay, I'll do part-time work if I go Monday, Thursdays, and when required, that will give me time for my music, my painting, and my other thing, all that.
Because you've just described yourself earlier as semi-retired, is that right?
Yeah, but I think that's no more the situation. I almost go every day, including some Sundays.
Yeah.
Albeit not for like long hours, but maybe an hour or so.
Yeah.
Which honestly I don't mind at all. I love doing it because you think you've done something positive.